I'm coming out of mental health writing. I spoke to him already.
Nice.
Little cities. Here they are, catering to special interest. Advice to the city council of St. Paul, Minnesota.
Every person has the right to work, the right to favorable employment conditions, and the right to be protected from unemployment. As we can see, that right is being thoroughly violated, and once again, without justification. Trying to say that they have to keep infection rates down is the largest red herring of this entire scam. Infection rates don't matter. If you get 500 people infected and not one of them is sick enough to even go to the doctor, let alone the hospital, it's completely irrelevant. It doesn't put a burden on our health system. It doesn't put a burden on our country. But every single day, businesses are closing. I had a business try to open in a faraway place. I don't want to say the name. I don't want to make him public. But he's out of the GTA. He had a restaurant. He had support of the local community, support of the local police. They had absolutely no COVID infections in his entire town for weeks now. He tried to open. Global media was there. They interviewed him. The government issued him a drastic warning. We'll fine you $50,000 and we'll take away your restaurant license permanently so you'll never be able to open another restaurant. These are the type of intimidation they are using to make people compliant. But the reality of the situation is they can charge you, they can fine you, they can do any of those things. It still has to go to court, and they still have to prove in court that they had justification to shut you down. And as we know, they don't. They know they don't. That's why they're trying to be so heavy-handed to scare you so you don't challenge them. Because they know if you challenge them individually, you can win. If you challenge them together, there's nothing they can do. Yeah! That's what we're going to do. We're going to link businesses from all over Canada. My network is completely anonymous. The only person who will know the businesses in the network is me. The lawyer that I am using, the legal team I am using, will only know the businesses that actually need him. So, your info is completely safe. Nothing can happen to you. It's getting to the point, I've talked to dozens of businesses, and I asked them, how long can you last? Most of them are telling me by July they're done. August they're done for sure. You think they're going to let you guys open before then? Have you been looking around? What do they tell you now? Now they, after 2 weeks of saying we're never going to do this, now they want to do regional openings. Why do they want to do this? So now they can tell you they're opening. Yeah. So they can provoke it another week, another week, another week. And by the time June 9th comes around and they're ready to make justification, our hospitals are going to be so empty that I don't even know what they're going to be able to tell people anymore. Maybe that's why we have protests popping up all over the states. Riots. I don't believe they're random, but we won't get into that. Because people are starting to wake up. People are realizing COVID is not nearly as dangerous as they say. So when people say it's a hoax, it's a scam, they're not saying it's fake, they're not saying nobody died, they're saying, look at the data. Our model said we're going to have 500,000 people dying in Canada. Really? Really? In reality, 95% of all the people who died from COVID were 60 plus. The vast majority, underlying conditions. These are people that were going to die anyways.
They had other diseases.
And they had other diseases, they had other conditions. They were at the end of their life. Many were 80 plus, which is the average life expectancy in Canada. So it's not out of the norm. Then we have not one child age 0 to 20 dead from COVID. But every day we have the news telling us about the new normal coming to schools with partitions and dots. No new normal. Help close businesses. We don't just want to open the schools. We want to open the schools
with no restrictions
in a way that's healthy for our children's minds and development. Understand? Not so-called healthy from a disease that has not killed one of them. What is more detrimental to their health? A disease that hasn't killed one of them, or putting them through over a decade of trauma and social conditioning that will make them unable to make decisions, unable to take criticism, unable to think for themselves, and live their entire lives in fear. Is that how you want your children to live? And if we don't go back to work, if we don't get those businesses back, and those families start suffering, how will you have the power to tell your government no? How will you be able to be independent enough to stand on your own 2 feet and say, we do not accept what you're doing to us? Answer, you can't. And that's why they're doing this.
Exactly!
They want you to be paralyzed with fear. They want you to be so scared that you will literally sit at home and watch your livelihood slip away. Your business that you spent the last 10, 20 years, blood, sweat, tears, your entire heart and soul, the way you feed your family, the way you provide for your future generations. They are taking it all away from you, right in front of your face. And all they have to do is tell you, if you stand up for yourself, we're going to make an example out of you. Well, I say, let them try. No offense, guys. You guys are great. We love you. You guys are all doing a great job. You've never given us any hassles. We respect law enforcement. We really do. We understand you guys are being told to do things that I guarantee I know most of you don't agree with, but you don't want to speak up because, like everybody here, you want to work. And I'm sure you feel very fortunate to still be working. Well, you know most of these people are out of work. So I understand why you don't want to speak up. But the real point is, if it was just me over here and a few people on this island, I wouldn't be speaking right now. You guys would already have me in custody. You guys would already have me taken away. The same applies to our businesses. If I opened alone and I advertise my opening, they're going to show up and hit me with everything. They're going to try to put the fear of God into me and anyone else who thinks about opening. But if all the businesses open at the same time, if 100 open on the same day, what are they going to do? They're going to make it to 4 or 5 businesses that day, give most of them a warning, try to make an example of one. Let them try. We'll fight it. We'll bring it to court. I'll help. The legal fund is live. I want everybody to know that my contribution to the fund for the businesses, I will be paying the fees to the lawyer for the first 5 businesses that end up needing those services. So, you are not alone. That's what this is all about. They want you to feel helpless. They want you to feel alone. They want you to feel like you have no options. Well, there's always a choice. They gave you the choice of follow our illegal, immoral order and lose everything, or defy us and we will destroy you. Well, I'm giving you a third option. Defy them together and make them acquiesce to our demands as they are supposed to. They still work for us. Regardless of how they talk down to you like children and disrespect you to the point where they won't even give you a potential opening date, we have the power, not them. That's why they have to lie to you. That's why they have to threaten you. That's why they have to patronize you. Because they know if we stand together, we will win. They have done many things to try to stop me. There is literally an entire web blog, pages long, dedicated to defaming me. That was conveniently put online the very day I announced Back to Work nonprofit. But guess what? I got my nonprofit status. We got our funding campaign. We're linking up with networks of hundreds of thousands of Canadians. And they all have one thing in common. They have had enough. Have you had enough? Yeah! Because I've had enough. These businesses have had enough. Families have had enough. Our right to work trumps their right to want to control us. That is not a right. That is what they feel they have the right to do. They do not. They have the right to do as we demand. They work for us, and we're going to prove it. I'm challenging them right now. This is not an endorsement to break the law. If the law is unjust and the law is going to ruin your livelihood, it's your absolute duty to stand up and say, this is wrong, and I am not going to stand for it for myself, my family, my friends, or my fellow Canadians. And once I get everyone back to work, once we get everybody back to work, because there's no way I can do this alone. I'm one man, I'm nothing. I need all of you. But once we do this and show them that we will unite, we will stand together, not only will they be absolutely terrified, this will be something that catches on globally. We will start a global movement against this tyranny and against these lies and against this propaganda and fear that they are using to control and subjugate you. And I'll have a new campaign, a better campaign, a campaign to spread awareness to millions and millions of people. Something that's going to make them turn over in their beds at night and reap the day I was born. I promise you that. All I need is for you to listen to these people. They're all good people. They all have your best interests at heart. We're not advocating violence. We're not advocating revolution. We're advocating intelligent freedom and non-compliance to tyranny, which is a civic right and a human duty. That's all I gotta say.
One more time, eh? So we basically gonna be here every Saturday. We'll be here. This is our 6th week, right? We are excited to be here. Whoa! Okay, guys, let's focus on what we're really here for. We're here for our freedom. We're here to end the emergency order. I'm going to share a few updates with you, what we have been going on. Chris shared you about the business. Just to give you a few more data facts so you can talk to people real. There's a good video I shared on my profile. You can tag me or get it from somewhere else, from Dell. There's a flu shot insert that actually discusses the death rate from the flu shot is more than double from the coronavirus death right now. So apparently the death rate from the flu shot is acceptable to administer to people, but we should be locked down the whole world because of this virus. So just to show you how all screwed up this thing is, the school's already opening up around the world. It's exactly what we've been shown in the video from Quebec. There's going to have plastic partitions between kids. Kids not going to socialize with each other. We must end that right now. That's why we're all coming together. We have a kids section every single Saturday. My initiative specifically to make sure this is a celebration of life. This is a peaceful event. As you can see, hugs over masks is our logo. This is definitely going to be the logo going forward for us too. The protest is important to make sure the government needs to know that we're here and we're going to protest the laws that they're trying to impose on us, which completely must be stopped immediately. Exactly like Chris discussed, we're not going to plan open this province anytime soon. Tory discussed yesterday, Mayor Tory, that he recommended to all the businesses to extend the work from home order till September recommendation, which means, you know, all the businesses, all the employees will have to work from home till September. And this is exactly what we'll be discussing. Have a vaccine ready for whole Canada, and we're not going to allow that to happen. I have some really positive news for you guys. If anyone feels discouraged on social media sharing the data that you guys share, please listen to this very important thing. the leader of Vaccines Choice Canada shared a post yesterday saying that the movement has tripled in terms of influence in the last month because of Corona. So please know, every single post that you make makes a huge difference. Even the backlash that you're getting from people, trust me, there are hundreds and hundreds of people, depending on your profile, friends count, whatever, that seen those posts, but we're afraid to even like it because we're not able to withstand the backlash. So if you're strong enough to take that force on you and be the light in this darkness world that's been created and imposed on us, we all must unite. We are the team light, we're team Jedi. And this is what we're going to create. We're creating light in the world where the darkness is imposed on us. So please know, every single post makes a difference. Every single conversation you have with people makes a difference. The most important thing we need to do, it's all about plant a seed of doubt, because those people are so confused. But if you give them real, simple, basic data, just to even think a little bit about, it makes a difference. Please know. Survival rate. What's survival rate from this virus? Survival rate, 99.8% survival rate. Thank you. Too much sun on me. Anyway, so the other thing I need to everyone know, we actually going to be here on Tuesday and Wednesday. We're going to be here on Tuesday and Wednesday because the Parliament actually is in session. And guess what the Ontario Parliament will be discussing on Tuesday? Whether or not to have summer sitting. So they're going to discuss whether they want to continue or not, being our legislation representative. Please understand, the federal parliament is suspended, but they're still getting paid. How ridiculous is that? The government is suspended, but they're still getting paid. At the federal level, at the provincial level, what a joke is that? So we're going to be here on Tuesday, and we're going to be here on Wednesday because the parliament is session. The media will be here. Reach out to me. We have some flyers being spread around right now. The site that's specifically for the movement, to end the emergency order, which is aligned with all the movements. This is what I want to make sure everyone remembers. We have 4 primary groups here from the beginning that built this movement. We have Back to Work group. Let's hear for Back to Work group. We have anti-vaccination group here. Let's hear for that group. We have group that's represented gun rights. Let's hear for the gun rights. Okay. And we have a group that's representing back to normal life, right? Did I miss anybody? No. We're going to have a new group. The website dedicated to the new group is fearlessontario.ca. So fearlessontario.ca is specifically to end the emergency order that must end immediately and restore our democracy in this province. And it's going to be a foundation for all the provinces around the whole country. Okay? So fearlessontario.ca is a website. There's a petition. You can sign up to end the emergency order. All the groups are represented. All the groups are independent and diverse, and that's our strength. Please remember, diversity is our strength. Okay? Okay, guys, we're going to move on to the speak on the bullhorns from the monument like we've been doing so far. Remember, every Saturday we're here. We have a kids section, making sure the kids can play and have a normal life. And that's how we're going to create civil disobedience. The shirts, hugs over masks are important because it's all about that. We'll have some flyers printed up to make sure that people can deny it properly. And you want to speak out? And I'm going to give Kelly to end up the session here, and then we're going to move on to the monument to continue.
Thank you, Vlad. Thank you very, very much. And thank you to everybody showing up here. This movement is not a partisan movement. This is a democratic movement. We are here to stand together as Canadians, as one, and defend our right, our individual rights, our liberties, our children's future. That's what this is about. So we're guys, I would love to have you, but we did make a deal with these fine gentlemen and women. So we're going to move now back onto the land, and everybody else is going to say what they have to say with their megaphones. So if you guys can make way so everybody could properly cross, that'd be great. And thank you all once again.
One of the organizers of these wonderful gatherings. At the beginning, I was so nervous up here, which I still am, But I forgot completely to acknowledge our Indigenous brothers and sisters through a proper land acknowledgement. So I will do that now. And this is in memory of my good friend Opak, my Indigenous elder. Woo! Who lost his life recently just down here at one of these hospitals for complications during a surgery, somewhat because of this COVID stuff going on. So please join me in lending me your ears and hearts for the land acknowledgement of Toronto. I worked on this proper updated version with Opak to be able to launch this mission of future livingry in direct opposition to Agenda 21. Thank you. Yes. I know, bro, I'm having a hard time here. So, thank you, Nico. Actually, can you hold me, please? Switch me. There we go. So nice to have good help from my friends. Didn't the Beatles do a song about that? All right. So, the land we are standing on here today is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Chalewa, the Petun, the Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabeg, the Mississaugas of the New Credit peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. I also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the New Credit, the Williams Treaties, signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. Also, I wish to add that the Canadian public, we will contact the Senate, in addition to the other challenges that we're facing today, to reissue on the order paper C-262. The intent is to raise the UN Declarations of Right of Indigenous People, comparative to the Canadian laws setting forth a process and procedure introducing a free and unencumbered sovereignty for the First Nations of Canada. Aho! Aho! May we all live together as stewards on this great land as one people under creation. Aho Mitakuyasan! After 5 gatherings here in Queen's Park, we are finally drawing the line against opposition and drawing a line of protection around all the groups here today in case the MSN platforms go down. I want to thank everyone here that's supporting the line, resistance and freedom movement. I see everyone has the line symbol here on their posts, on their posters, and I see a few flags. You all should know and realize that you are all part of a Canadian-wide movement of empowerment. We will soon be giving out free stuff so that you can freely promote your stand on the line. My name is Lamont, and I am one of the founders of the line movement. And I want to say that with all the hearts of the organizers across Canada, how proud I am of everyone. You have now become my family. Aho. Aho. I am here far and wide for Canada and the rest of the world because, quite frankly, Toronto is, after the first New York, the next metropolitan gold standard of the way the world is supposed to be as a culture of people who love each other regardless of their culture. Aho. We see how we all finally united. And when we're finally united, we are unstoppable. Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough! You are the ones who draw the line. No one will cross that line. Freedom! 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 Like Freddie Mercury said, freedom! And look, they've given us a line for us. A line of beautiful chemicals of the sky for us. Yes, thank you for those lines. Now, another word, actually 2 more little words. 2 more little words. Just 2. I want to remind you that I've forgotten completely what I was going to say. Just kidding. The other thing that I wanted to say is this. If ever I get too nervous up here, or I forget what the hell I'm talking about, like a comedian or a show and stuff, I'm so goddamn nervous up here, guys, I can't even tell you. If I break into a crazy accent, if I break into a country accent, if I break into an Indian accent, Japanese, black, any kind of accent, like any other comedian and actor out there, I'm gonna have some fun because I fucking love you. Okay? Absolutely. I absolutely love you guys. And now, before my good friend comes up here, one of our wonderful teachers in the world, I just want to say one thing. I haven't talked about what I want to talk about because I've waited. But I'm telling you right now, we have issues with water, correct? Anybody believe in that? This is Maud Barlow's book. Whose water is it anyway? And I don't see any Council of Canadians here yet. Does anybody know any Council of Canadians? Anybody? No, I didn't think so. And I donate to those guys thinking that they're looking out for my interests. So if anybody knows a Council of the Canadian person, can you please let them know we might like to see them out here to be with us? Thank you so much. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our good friend here. What is your name, my friend? Mike, come on up here. Mike is one of the teachers here in Ontario that recently has had a similar experience as the rest of us. He'd like to say a couple of words. Give your hands up for some freedom for Mike! Oh, I guess I didn't introduce myself properly. So, my name is Lamont Daigle. Number one, I am the representative for Toronto for the celebration of freedom and rights, and I am one of the leaders of the Line Canada. Aho!
Oh!
Thank you, Lamont.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me? Good. First, I'll make it clear that I don't represent any groups here. I'm just here as a guy. And I just want to share what I think a lot of us possibly are thinking and feeling. My name is Mike, which you had said, but my name is Mike, although who I am doesn't really matter. What matters is what I am, because that's what brought me here today. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I'm a brother, a friend. I'm a son. I'm a grandson. I'm an uncle. I'm a teacher. I'm a student. We're always learning. That's why I'll never stand up here and try to say that I know everything, but I'm going to tell you how I feel. I'm a worker. I believe in a creator. I'm a Canadian. I'm a human being. And I'm angry. I am outraged at the federal, provincial, and municipal governments' negligent lockdown at the expense of the economy and the very things that make Canada, Canada. Democracy, capital, freedom. There's a reason why we have a Charter of Rights and Freedoms. I'm angry at a lockdown based on shoddy scientific models and government-sponsored statistical fraud at the behest of unelected international institutions. Institutions like the World Health Organization, United Nations, unelected international institutions that are controlled by a handful of wealthy elite psychopaths hell-bent on unilaterally imposing their own globalist ideological vision of the future at the expense of our innate, God-given human rights and freedoms and our God-given right to live. If this was truly about safety, The moment the data showed the death rate is equivalent to a bad flu season, the lockdown should have ended right then. But it didn't. It didn't. It was transformed into a new attitude, a new message. It was transformed into a cultural shift of the new normal. With children isolated in circles at school drawn out on the pavement. Meanwhile, our leaders are holding up the old normal. Do you know how trainers keep elephants from running away from that little piece of string? When they're babies, they get huge chain link chains. And once they give up trying to break it, they switch to a little thin rope. That's what they're doing to our children. If our children are living in circles, they don't believe that they can do anything beyond that. This is what they're doing. History is wrought with tyrannical dictators and regimes seeking more and more power over the people. From Stalin to Mussolini, from the Pharaoh in the Bible to Hitler. Fear, intimidation, and propaganda are the hallmarks of government power grabs and oppression. However, these historical examples that are burned into our memory were limited to specific nations and geographic locations. Today, it is on a total global scale, crossing all borders. Never in the human history has there ever been such an attempt, such an orchestrated, deliberate attempt to overthrow and subjugate every man, woman, and children on the face of this planet. This is not a racist agenda. No, 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 no. This is not a racist agenda. This is an anti-human agenda. This is an anti-human agenda. What's being done here is far more egregious and nefarious than a racist issue. Our politicians have been either bribed, threatened, or even worse, in favor of these treasonous crimes against humanity, because that's what it is. I elected politicians to represent me. I didn't elect them to represent others who don't belong here. Unelected institutions. I'm sorry, that's just not why I voted for you. Make no mistake, this lockdown is the single greatest human rights, civil rights attack in the history of our species. And most people are still asleep to the tyranny that is unfolding before us. For example, and I have to say some very positive things here. Look at the police. Whether they realize it or not, we're actually fighting for them and their children's futures too. And I know in my heart, just like we've seen in parts of Europe, eventually the police will stand down and support us because we're fighting for them too. Listen, let's be real, everybody. No parent wants their child to have their wings clipped. No. Every parent wants their children to have a future. Yes. Yes. This is what this is about, people. And having a future for your children can only happen in a free and just society. It's the only way. So yes, we really are all in this together. But I gotta tell you, I can't tell you how inspiring it is to see so many people here, to see so many informed people speaking up. There are so many of you with many valid and yet very different reasons, right? Many different reasons. We have 5G, we've got mandatory vaccinations, medical freedom, gun rights, ending the lockdown, right to work, right to open one's business, cures being suppressed. I mean, come on, we all know that even if this was a real disease, there is a cure. There's a lot, which should have ended it too. But the thing is, we're all probably experiencing when you talk to your loved ones and you try to enlighten them. Just ears are turned off. Okay? Our uninformed friends and families are not going to unite under these banners due to unjust, because these are legitimate reasons, but unjust conspiracy theory branding so that people won't listen.
The mainstream media is cancer!
Indeed. Indeed it is.
They're a bunch of Nazis!
But there is some very good news about these different issues, is that they all fall under one umbrella issue. And in fact, John F. Kennedy, I know he's American, not Canadian, but I gotta tell you, he said it best about 60 years ago, and I'm gonna quote him. Quote, "The same revolutionary beliefs for which our forebears fought are still at issue around the globe. The belief that the rights of man come not from the generosity of the state, but from the hand of God." This is all about freedom. This is all about government overreach and suppression of our God-given rights and freedoms at the hands of a few. An unelected few. Very important. This is what the majority of us, all our family members who are uninformed, can unite under. This is what they can unite under. Because they're not fully aware of what's really happening, because a lot of us have gone down the rabbit hole and we're crystal clear on what's happening. But a lot of people are not ready for that big dose of a red pill. So we have to unite under what this issue is really about. Human rights. This is the same issue that has united humankind since the dawn of time. Although under different labels, but I assure you, it's the same battle. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, brown, liberal, conservative, Canadian, American, Russian, English, Indian, Chinese, Muslim, Hindu, Catholic, Buddhist, rich or poor. This is oppression on a planetary scale, but we have to focus on Canada because that's all we can do. So this directly affects us all. I mean, really. If you give up living in order to live, then they've already won. Many are afraid of the hardship. Many people are afraid of dying for a cause. That's why a lot of people are scared to speak up. But like I said, if we're afraid to live, and if we let this global, unelected body rule us and take root, come on, if we're afraid to live, we're already dead. Oh, my fellow Canadians, the true North is no longer free. If we want to restore Canadian sovereignty and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, we have to take action in a productive way. And I know all of you want to do something, but many of you may be at home or after you leave today and you say, I'm just one person. What impact could I possibly have? I know. A lot of us can be scared, but fear can also be a very powerful motivator. You know, you may be thinking this, but I tell you, you can make a change in a very big way. A very big way, my friends. Here's just one. If every person here wrote 10 very short letters and sent them directly through Canada Post every Monday to the Prime Minister, to the Premier, to the political opposition leaders, they would end up having thousands of letters piled up on their doorstep. I mean, really, they could just have one or two statements just saying, hey, we know that you've purposely abandoned science. We know you've grossly inflated the severity of COVID-19, a threat at the behest of unelected institutions. And we will not surrender these rights for anybody. I mean, so think about that. This is technically like a Mayo protest. You can do this individually, but you're taking action. It starts small and builds. So, I mean, think about it. They can manipulate online polls. They can manipulate the news. They can manipulate social media, but they can't stop the mail. They can't stop the mail. Could you imagine seeing how many people here? 600? 600 times 10, 6,000 letters piled up on your door. Oh boy, that's impactful. That's impactful. For all we know, a lot of our elected leaders don't actually know how many of us are angry. I mean, we need to have English literacy in our country because these elected officials clearly don't read. So I know I'm talking long, but I've got so much to say. Another thing you can do. You could make, or maybe someone else could make a web page you can copy and print. I don't know, someone, because we can all do our part. You can make a one-page document informing people of what's really going on. But focus on the umbrella issue. We want them to hear. Keep it to the main issue, basic human rights and freedoms. God-given human rights and freedoms for those who believe in a creator like myself. Take that document, put it in the mailbox on every house on your street. If everybody did this, the truth gets out, the message gets out, and it cannot be censored. I'm going to end this with an inspiring quote from Nelson Mandela, because remember people, we're all in this together. It's not black, white, English, it doesn't matter. This is a human struggle that's been around since the beginning of time. So I end this with a great quote from Nelson Mandela. And this is what I believe is all of us are feeling. Quote, I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony and with equal opportunity. It is an ideal I hope to live for and to achieve, but if need be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die. End quote. This lockdown is illegal and it is not backed by science. Case closed. This is a human rights issue and tyranny is at our doorstep. So, rise up, be steadfast, be fearless, take action, but make sure it's peaceful because we are not like them. And remember, if you're scared, remember what you're fighting for. Deep in your heart, you find it. I'm fighting for my loved ones. I'm fighting for my right to exist freely and independently. And if you believe in a creator, I mean, this applies to all of us. If you believe in a creator, trust that he is with you because we are fighting a just cause. Do this, and God willing, we will defeat the scourge on humanity. Thank you. Guys, give it up for Mike. What a speech. That was amazing. Guys, I want to jump on one point really quickly. To Mike's point about making letters, we've made a Facebook group. It's Glorious and Free. Glorious and Free. Check it out on Facebook. We're going to have templates of letters, the address, everything you need. What he just said is the best thing we can do right now. This will not be ignored, okay? Glorious and Free. That's amazing. Okay, we'll have Letitia come up here. I want Letitia to read this letter. This letter was written on May 25th by Randy Hiller, MPP of Ontario, who's independent right now, and really the only person that I hear speaking in the Ontario Parliament to end this emergency order. And the important thing is, okay, come. So we're gonna read this letter, then Letitia's gonna share some things, and then Lamont's gonna head our march. So, no. This is a letter. I need some women here too. Only guys coming up, right? So I asked Letitia to come and share. And this letter was written by Randy Hiller, who is MPP of Ontario. So we have one politician speaking his voice in Ontario Parliament to end this.
Hi everybody, my name again is Letitia Montana, and I've actually been coming here for 5 weeks now, and I'm very grateful to be here. And thank you, Vlad, for asking me to read a letter from one of the few politicians that is standing up for what is right and just, guys. Before I do that, though, I just want to say a few of my own words. And actually, last week I was here, I read from a Native American Hopi prophecy, which is called, "We Are the Ones We've Been Waiting For." You can look it up. I don't have the text in front of me right now, guys, but the gist of it is, you know, this is the time for us to let our voices be heard. Every one of us matters. The leaders that are trying to impose this inhumane agenda on all of us are counting on the fact of us not speaking up, not standing in our power. They want people to be compliant little sheep. And that serves their agenda very well. What does not serve their agenda are people standing in their power, recognizing that we are powerful, spiritual beings, that we have a right to be on this planet. And it's an inalienable right. We came here, we have our own missions, our own reasons for being, and that is not something some other misguided beings can come and trample on. They can fuck off, okay? They can fuck off. We are going to stand in our power, guys. We're going to stand for our rights. We're going to protect this planet, not by buying into their, lies. You all know what I'm talking about. A lot of you guys here are very awake, and you know they have a lot of agendas, psyop agendas at play. We're not going to buy into that, guys. They are meant to divide us and distract us while they are busy imposing their agendas. And one other thing I want to say, guys, about making your voices be heard. Just recognize every one of us has a unique voice. Every one of us may resonate with other people out there, you know. I've been inspired by people, you know. Sometimes people are self-conscious. They think, man, I got to look a certain way. Maybe I'm too fat, or I got too many wrinkles, or, you know, who's going to listen to me, you know? Somebody will listen to you. Every one of us has a unique voice. And I've been inspired by people that did not look perfect, but who were authentic, you know, who were speaking their heart. All of us have that gift. All of us has our unique voice that we can speak out on social media, guys. I know so many, you know, truther and freedom channels are being censored, but there are freer platforms that are emerging, such as BitChute, Library, LBRY. Anyway, guys, we must persist. We are fighting a just cause. This is for humanity. This is for the future of our children. And if we don't take a stand now, remember, there's that song. If we tolerate this, then our children will be next. We cannot tolerate this, guys. We need to take a stand. And I'm gonna now read this letter from our MPP. It's easier for me to read it this vertical. Yeah. Okay, so Randy Miller, MPP for Lanark, Frontenac, Kingston, wrote a letter to Peter Weltman, Financial Accountability Officer of Ontario, dated May 25th. Dear Mr. Weltman, the financial burden outlined in the FAO's most recent report created by our response to COVID-19 is both unprecedented and illuminating. The exposure of the underutilization of our hospitals was troubling and leaves more questions than answers. In light of the insight provided by the FAO, I am inquiring for some further information regarding the financial cost to our province's healthcare system. There have been many indefinitely postponed procedures during COVID-19. Your report stated 52,000 procedures as of April 23rd, climbing at a rate of 12,000 per week. Wow. The cost, both in financial terms and in mortality, is necessary in order to objectively examine our response to COVID-19. Many listed procedures have been indefinitely delayed, such as cancer, cardiac, eye, and orthopedic surgeries. Will the cost of delaying these have a positive or negative financial effect once they resume? Were their funding allotments expended despite their cancellation, and has that money gone to other uses, or is it still available for the necessary procedures? In addition, Would your office please provide me with either actual or estimates regarding how many postponements, additional costs, and deaths while waiting for the following: organ transplants, livers, kidneys, hearts and lungs, cardiac surgeries, cancer screenings and surgeries, orthopedic surgeries, hip and knee, eye surgeries such as cataracts. And finally, are you able to determine in its aggregate the total cost of postponed medical procedures and how many fatalities have occurred that are attributed to their postponements? With this information, we may better understand the speed at which we should open up our healthcare sector to better protect the health and tax burden on all of the people of Ontario. Sincerely, Randy Hillier, MPP. Thanks everyone. Please stay strong and please stand in your power. Don't delay. Take a stand. Love you.
Okay guys, thank you. We're gonna do a march and then we'll come back and we'll continue with the speeches.